Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday, May 30th edition of the KubeStellar Community Call. And we are a proud member of the CNCF as a sandbox project. If you would like to join this meeting in the future, please go to kubestellar.io/join us, which I'm highlighting now on the screen. Once you go there, you'll click on join, and then you'll get recurring meeting invites from our community to join us every other Thursday. All right. So let's get started here. Just to kick things off at every meeting. Oh, this meeting gets posted to kubestellar.io/TV. It's our YouTube channel. And you can find other editions of this particular community meeting, as well as explainers and other demonstrations that we have. And we also have kubestellar.io/blog, which is all the blog posts that you see that we talk about here on this meeting. Those are curated and collected there. So as a member of the CNCF, we abide by a contributor code of conduct. I'll read it here. As contributors and maintainers in the CNCF community and in the interest of fostering an open and welcoming community, we pledge to respect all people who contribute through reporting issues, posting feature requests, updating documentation, submitting pull requests or patches, and other activities. We are committed to making participation in the CNCF community a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of level of experience, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, disability, personal appearance, body size, race, ethnicity, age, religion, or nationality. Basically, that just means be nice to everybody, please, while you're on this call. Generally a good rule. Okay, if you have your video on and you don't want to be recorded, now's the time to shut it off. If you don't want to speak on the call, please don't. It will be recorded. So let's get started. We're on the agenda here for May 30th, 2024. Please go ahead and enter your name under the attendees once you've got access to this particular document. That'll help us keep track of who's attended and who we should reach out to if we have any further questions. Thank you. All right. We'll start off here. We've had some big events around our Helm chart and automation of installation. So I see that Franco's on the call. Franco, you want to give us an update on the Helm?
Sure. We had the first alpha, actually more than one, but alpha release of the core Helm chart for KubeStellar. Right now, the documentation, the Helm chart is available as a template in the Git repo. It's also available as a package on the GitHub repository. The documentation is not yet in the KubeStellar.io because it's an alpha release, so we are doing some internal testing. But if you want to go take a look, you can go in the documentation direct, and there is a detailed documentation of the new Helm chart, as well as how to use it and how to specifically use it in the context of the examples that we have on the website. Most notably, the Helm chart does a few things for you. Number one, it deploys the kubeflex controller with its requirements. It sets it up in the cluster for you. Then it allows you to install the necessary post-create hooks that are needed to create ITS and WDS spaces. And finally, it allows a user to create a user-defined list of many combination of these spaces, both host and not host spaces, and connect them together in various modality that can be used in the examples. So right now we're doing some internal testing. The deployment of the Helm chart is pretty simple. There is some complications that we are working through, especially Mike is working through to simplify the way we can retrieve the kube configs for the various spaces. So right now there is a couple of different ways to do it. One is to use the kubeflex CLI. Another way is to use plain kubectl commands, and potentially in the future we'll have a bash, a curl to bash script to do that as well. So that, the Helm simplified the deployment. There's a little bit of complication for the retrieval of the kube configs at the moment.
Okay. Thank you, Franco, for the update. We have an assembly of a couple of the folks that have joined us for the summer. Ash, Benson, and I think I saw Ricky on here just a minute ago. If you have any questions, now would be a good time. I know you're just getting started on the Helm chart adventure, but now would be a good time to ask any questions you have before getting started. Yes, Mike?
I just wanted to point out that I did just make a new release. So, and the releaser workflow is in progress. So in a few minutes, there'll be a new version. And the notes in the Helm chart become simpler, more concrete. So it should become easier to use.
Thank you, Mike. All right, if any of you are looking to make edits to this page, I've dropped it in the chat here, but you can also go to kubestellar.io/agenda, and that's where this agenda is located, and you can add your name as an attendee, or you can add items to the agenda that you would like to discuss. All right. Okay, if there's no questions about Helm, then we'll move on to the next performance testing. So that's Braulio. You want to give us an update where you're at with that?
So for performance testing, so we have settled down which dimensions we want to focus on. We are going to be focused for the dimension for scalability. I mean, so we are going to be focused on the large number of objects. We would start to focus on the number of bind policies. And also we're going to focus on a large number of WDSs, and lastly we are going to focus on having a large number of WACs connected to the KubeStellar control plane, and optionally. So this is the we are going to also trying to have a very large cluster size per se, but this is one of the gonna be on the backlog for now, and to achieve that, Mike can comment more on this. So Mike has been helping to add metrics endpoints for Prometheus and pprof in all of our KubeStellar controllers. Precise. Thanks, Mike, for helping with this work. And meanwhile, I have been there are some controllers that already have the endpoints available, and I have been now testing those controllers and try to pull the metrics consistently using Prometheus, Grafana, and the various scroll. And that's all from my side, Andy.
Okay. Any questions for Braulio? Okay, thank you, Braulio. Braulio, question for you regarding, are you still using cluster loader under the covers?
Yes.
Okay. I think you had some upstream fixes that you supplied the cluster loader. Was it cluster loader that you did that for?
Yes. Also for cluster loader. For cluster loader is one of the de facto Kubernetes performance tool, and we submit to PS to upstream. One was to improve the decode tuning set is the set of functions that you can use to generate workload. we contribute with a function to generate a workload using a post-zone distribution per se. And the second PR that we will push upstream was about submitting the provider set that cluster loader contains that allows you to deploy cluster loader to run in different environments. For example, there is provider for kind for IKS. There is for vSphere. So and then we submit a provider for KubeStellar. So in this way allows anyone in the community to use cluster loader to do performance tests on the KubeStellar.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I guess one further question. Do you intend on listing that information when and if there's a section to discuss things about integrations on our site?
That's a great idea. Definitely. I didn't thought about it before. Thanks for the suggestion.
Okay.
I'll look on that.
No problem. Thank you. All right. Any questions for Braulio? Okay, next up, summarization. Combined status. Mike, do you have any updates on this? I know I saw some late night work.
Is Maroon not here? Yeah, I'll just speak, I guess, speak for him. I mean, he's leading the work. He's got another PR that is in progress. It's a work in progress that is the bulk of the implementation. And that's in progress. I think it has raised some questions. I lost some of my confidence that Cell was a good choice for the expression language because it uses Go reflection, which is well known to be a performance loser. So we, I'm still, and others maybe still wondering, should we switch back to the older way of defining expressions, which had a problem because it's recursive. So we could either solve that by giving up on describing its recursive structure in the open API, which is kind of bad for the Kubernetes community, or we could flatten it by switching the Boolean part, which is the only really recursive part, to using disjunctive normal form, for example. And we weren't sure, really, it's all boils down to usage. So I, recommended that we focus on updating our thoughts. And there's a document on usage scenarios that are expected and we want to support. So I think, refocusing on getting some clarity on our usage scenarios, it will be the best help for everything. So I'll stop there for now.
Okay. So, Mike, is there any rumblings in the Cell community that they would look at changing the way that they've implemented it from using reflection to some other method?
Not that I'm aware of, but I won't say I have my ear firmly to that ground.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks for the update, Mike. Any questions for Mike? All right. Before we get to the next spot, I want to give an update on YouTube, the YouTube debacle. So our YouTube channel, I created it initially using an ID that was associated with Red Hat, and Red Hat had culled some IDs. I was in that grouping. Long story short, the ID was removed, and even though you have in YouTube, you have the ability to give other people ownership of or permission, administrative permission to modify the site. If the owner, and there is only one owner of the YouTube channel, is no longer available or disabled, if that ID goes away, then nobody can administrate that site. It's their branding rules, whatever. Anyway, So long story short, I was able to pull some strings, get an ID created, and I've gotten to the point where I've got the ID established, but I need account authorization now. So to log in to Red Hat. So I'm on the cusp of having this rectified, this issue that we've been having. And once I'm able to log in, I'll be able to transfer the ownership within a minute's time and to another ID, and that one won't will be more permanent in nature, and we won't have this issue any longer. So we're no longer under threat of the channel being removed, deleted, excised. So right now we're stable, but we need to have this last mile completed before I can get the channel put into a proper account where it will not be under threat. So that's the next step there. So I'm still waiting for that to complete. Hopefully today, we'll see, maybe tomorrow. All right. Any questions for me on YouTube? Okay. Sure. All right. Next up, we have an update on the reaction to KubeStellar integration with KFP. I don't have anything new on that specific item, and I don't think I see Paulo here. One thing I do know is Apollo did go ahead and add a blog on some. Let's see if I can grab the actual item, bring it up here. Let's see. So I think this article doesn't do anything specifically with respect to KubeStellar, but it does talk about the idea of using Kubeflow pipelines in a multi-cluster distribution. So it's something, if you're interested in reading about, please do so. It's to introduce the topic of multi-cluster more so than it is to talk about KubeStellar. So something that you might want to take a look at. I'm going to add the blog post here, actually. Okay. All right. So I don't have any other updates there. Anybody else have any information or updates on the KFP reaction to our integration? Okay. All right. Next up, we'll spend a little time on interns for open source. So the program's been in motion for about 2 weeks now. We have 5 folks that have joined the effort. There's Alex and Jean from Valencia University. And there's Ash Waria, Ricky, and Benson, who have joined us from Georgia Tech. Ashwaria or Ash and Ricky and Benson are on the call here. Thank you for joining, all 3 of you. I really appreciate having you on this summer. And this is part of a bigger program to work with folks from universities who are in either graduate or undergraduate status and are looking to extend their knowledge beyond the classroom into things that are more practical and pragmatic and things that they'll be expected to do when they get into the workforce at some point in their transition from academic to professional careers. And so the idea here is to give them an idea, give them some understanding of what it takes to run an open source project, to operate within an open source project, and what's expected of you as a professional developer, engineer, architect within an open source project. So what we started off doing is an exercise where I asked all the interns to work on getting something called Game 2048 up and running on their clusters. And if you've not seen Game 2048, it looks like this. And what you do is you essentially use cursor keys to move what I'm doing right now is using cursor keys to move the numbers in a way that when they slam against the wall, they're combined. So you can see this, and so you can see that if you don't do it properly, the boxes fill up, and I'll show you what one looks like. The goal is to get 20 to 2048. Anyway, it's a fun game to play, and if you just hit random arrow keys, you'll see eventually I'm going to get blocked here. I'm not doing any, well, maybe I'm not going to get blocked. But anyway, the idea is to get to 2048, and if you do that, you win the game. I can't believe I'm getting this far just by hitting random keys. Okay, boom. I've lost the game. So at 1376. This exists in containerized format, and I asked the folks that have joined us to go ahead and implement this or to deploy it on a local kube cluster of their choosing. They had the choices between Minikube, K3s. Of course, there is Docker's Kubernetes, which we didn't really advertise much, and Kind. They've been also asked if they'd like to. They don't have to use their laptops itself. They can put a substrate in, which would be something like a VM, like VirtualBox or Multipass. And the variety of platforms that they're using, or I should say architectures and OSs that they're using anything from Windows or Mac. M and non-M class Macs are also included in this test. So they were getting a good understanding of what it takes to get an initial installation of a Kubernetes platform, a Kubernetes distribution working on their local laptops, one or several of those clusters represented on their laptop. Install a sample deployment, which in this case was that game 2048. And then from there, either blog about it or discuss it amongst each other, form teams that will work together. I've encouraged all 5 of them to work together as one large team so that nobody's working alone. Nobody should be working in a vacuum in this project. So I've asked them to do that. And so the idea here is that they get familiar with the Kubernetes platform, how to install things, deploy things to a Kubernetes platform, how to edit YAML in order to make changes and cause effects on the different Kubernetes distributions that they've installed on their local laptops. The next step is to have multiple Kubernetes installations from the same distribution, hopefully, right? So multiple Kind clusters, multiple Minikube instances, et cetera, et cetera. And then from there to be able to do this now, the same game 2048 deployment and across KubeStellar. And the way they'll do that is through installing the Helm chart and then connecting up the remotes, creating their binding policy, and then deploying the game itself to those remote clusters, and then seeing what it takes to then connect to those remote clusters to see their output. And so that's where they're at now. I think they've made some very good progress in the last 2 weeks. And so I'll yield the floor quickly to Ash, Ricky, and Benson. If you'd like to say anything or introduce yourselves, now would be the time to do that to the community.
Thanks, Andy. I'm Ash. I'm from Georgia Tech, and I just joined this internship as Andy explained everything we're doing. Thank you for having us. And this is completely like something new I haven't worked with. So it has been slowly, like the learning curve was pretty steep till now, and hopefully I can move faster this week. And yeah, the exercises have been fun, and making progress has been quite satisfactory. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Ash, for joining us.
Mhm.
Ricky or Benson?
Hello, everyone. I'm Benson. I'm currently a graduate student at Georgia Tech. Um, I only been on KubeStellar, the internship program, for about a week now, but this week has been very fascinating. Reminds me of my like of beginner days in programming. When things work, it was really fun to see them work, which is what I experienced when I got the game 2048 to deploy on the cluster. So yeah, this is really a eye-opening experience. So I look forward to working with y'all.
Thanks, Benson. Ricky?
Hi, my name is Ricky. I'm an undergraduate student at Georgia Tech. I agree with Vincent. Working on this these challenges and tasks opened my eyes to oh, this is what the industry are working on. Because at Georgia Tech, we're our homeworks and projects are very theoretical, so we're not doing anything practical. And this is very interesting and a lot more fun than doing homework or any of those projects doing mathematical computations. So yeah, I'm very excited to work with you guys for this summer. And yeah.
I'm glad to have all three of you. Thank you very much for your introductions. Any questions for the interns at this point? It's great to have you on the call. I think everybody thought I was fibbing up until this point, that you're actually real people. So it's good to connect a name with a voice. All right. Yeah, the hope is to out of this program of as this evolves, and we'll see where it goes. It's dynamic in nature. We'll have to see. I've asked each one of the interns, all five, to have the following quota of they'll all produce 5 issues, of which Ricky has finished one of those issues. He opened an issue this week, and the team reacted, the community reacted, and built a new release with changes that helped Ricky get past his hurdle. So I've asked them for 5 issues each at a minimum. I've also asked them for 2 PRs. The PRs will likely be documentation based, but that's up to them if they want to take this further. We'll see how far we get in the developmental phase. I plan on introducing the group to actual Kubernetes API programming at some point in the journey here, and so we'll see where that takes place. I'm hoping maybe at the halfway point. They're with us for 10 weeks total. So that's 5 issues, 2 PRs, and then the last item is blogging. So I'd like to give them an idea of what it's like to have a presence in the open source community, understand what it's like to gain, followers, as well as to influence others and to show others based on their experience where what they've worked on and how they managed to overcome the challenges that they encountered. And this not only serves the external community in ways that will be helpful, but it also starts them to build their quote unquote recipe book for the future. So, in other words, when they do encounter a problem, much the same as what I do when I encounter issues, like, whenever I have an issue with my GitHub signing key, right? I've found there's times at which you can have trouble. So I finally decided to sit down one day and write up a 2-minute blog on how to overcome that issue. And now in the future, when that happens, I can refer back to my blog entries. I can see not only did I help others, but I can help myself again to remember what the commands were that I ran in order to get over that problem. So those are that's the third item there. And then this all culminates at the end. I'd like what we could do is a couple of different things, but primarily coming up is, of course, in North America, in Salt Lake City, Utah, in November, there will be a KubeCon. And at the conference, I'm planning on submitting 1 or 2 talks. One of those talks will be on blue-green deployment and canary deployments across KubeStellar and AWS, but the other one will hopefully be on the IFOS program, this Interns for Open Source program. And I'd like to do this in a panel discussion with some of the other folks, the heads of the departments of the programs, the computer science programs at Valencia and Georgia Tech, so that we can have a fruitful discussion in front of others and explain to them why programs like IFOS work for open source communities. And so I plan on, I anticipate having some degree of success here. And so I'd like to help promote that in the community and have an outcome from it. So that's just an extended blurb on IFOS. Does anybody have any questions for me on the program or other ideas that they'd like to impart? All right. Okay, thank you again for joining us. All right, so on to the next step. So I've entered the new blog post for Paulo's blog. Thank you, Paulo. KubeDay Japan, our submission's in. We're waiting for an update back. As I mentioned on KubeCon North America, there's quite a few items that we're looking to submit. PipeCD, since it is being spoken about in Japan, should be an easy port directly into North America. And scalability testing, Braulio, have you entered your CFP yet?
Not yet, but I'm planning to have by beginning early next week to submit it.
All right, be careful, right? June 9th is the deadline. So
Yes.
try and see if you can get it in, you know, towards the beginning of this coming week. Okay, and you have that poster session with DA, hopefully with Glar. That should be good to see again, hopefully. I'll be putting in the integration for the Blue-Green Canary work as well as IFOS probably tomorrow. And then I think Paolo's going to be working on getting his Argo workflow with in multi-cluster mode as well as KubeFlex in front of the folks at the CNCF. So any other ideas for talks that should be given at KubeCon North America? Anyone? Okay.
I think Paolo also suggests to have the work that Yark is doing about mod Q and KubeStellar, the potential candidate.
Okay. Thank you.
And if I recall correctly, we should double check with the Ezra. I think Ezra also planning to submit a talk for the work that they did on KubeVert and KubeStellar.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I'll probably put out a reminder today to a few people to make sure that they're aware of the deadlines and the location as to where to put those in. I'm sure they all are, but we'll just reiterate. Cool. So we got kind of a full court press going on with North America. This hopefully out of the handful that we have here, or two handfuls that we have here, we'll have a few that get accepted. That'd be great. Okay. All right. Any updates on KubeStellar? I think we are what at 0.23 now, or we haven't published that, right? 0.22 is still
Right, we're working on 0.23.
right. Okay. All right. And so I know that we're in that. We already talked about Helm here. Mike, is there any update on template expansion or transformation? Anything now based upon what you've learned from Cell, does that impact these as well?
No, those are things that appeared in 0.22. There's been no significant changes in them since then.
Do you use Cell for that?
No, cell is for the expressions in
Okay.
the reported state combination.
All right, so we're using a different expression evaluation engine for these and the new feature. Is that true?
Right. In those, we don't need general expressions. We only need JSON paths.
Okay, very good.
Well, actually, I'm not sorry. I should just break it down. For the transformation, we're using JSON paths to identify parts of the object to replace. For the template expansion, we're using Go language templates, which have their own expression language.
Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, so we've got an update on Helm. Is based on the instructions and scripting here. I guess I'll prompt Kevin to give us an update as to where you are with the redesign of the site.
And you thought I wasn't paying attention.
No, I didn't think that.
So I want to thank the people who've given me feedback in assorted places. I pulled a new clean fork of our current main branch so that all of the assorted changes I've made, which are structural, we can actually merge right away to make navigation a little easier. And then as the Helm chart sorts itself out, I will start holding that in. At the moment, it's going to be down in an experimental section since we are still making it work better. But I expect that will move high up into our getting started. And the very first change is going to be very, very simple, which is actually going to be on our welcome page, which right now we don't have links down into the site other than the big buttons. And I figured out how to add some links that get us into the main menu quickly, so it's available on all pages.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if not to get into too much detail here, but to let you know, like, things that we see here now, I mean, I hope that this is cleared up, that we don't have this kind of dead end, because this gives people the impression that we don't work on those platforms. The other thing is we point people to examples. Well, if this is the installation instructions, then maybe we call it installation, and maybe we move it up a little higher on the list there or something. I don't know. I'm not going to get involved with it, but
all of that is actually in the new draft structure. There is an issue open on this with examples of the changes at KubeStellar under issues. So it is, there we go. And so the setup section is actually going to be dramatically simplified from what you see there, because I had some very useful feedback on what actually needs to be there. But this is a starting point, and I watch for comments coming in on this issue. So if you have feedback, please use the GitHub issues so that I see them wherever I am.
okay. So this is a good point for those that want to get involved, and I'll point directly to Ash, Benson, and Ricky, Gene and Alex, if you're watching this on replay. Something good for you to get involved with is the specific issue here, number 2163. Yeah, your help would be greatly appreciated, especially on something like this, because you're coming in from the outside looking in with fresh perspective, and lots of times we have difficulty within open source projects, especially this one, where we get to a certain point where we've overloaded the site with lots of helpful documentation, but because it's not organized in a way that people are used to seeing when they're not familiar with a project, it can be rather confusing. And as you've already seen and experienced, and trying to figure out how to install KubeStellar yourselves, it would be good for you to get involved. Again, that issue number is 2163. All right.
I am also present in both our internal Slack and the KubeStellar development Slack. So you can also, if you want to ping me directly, you can do that in either Slack workspace.
Yeah, there you are available there as well. Okay. All right, and we already covered Helm, and we already covered performance testing. Does anybody else on the call have anything else they'd like to add or ask on this call? Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'll post this when it's available to our YouTube channel, and I look forward to working with all of you in the coming weeks. I'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.